Would you prefer to be a subject or a citizen?
I think citizen sounds better than subject. I think citizen sounds more personable. It sounds like you're a human being alive. I think subject just sounds a bit clinical, a bit sterile. Yeah, I think citizen.
When should we bomb Iran?
That's a bit of a stupid question, isn't it? Never. I don't think we should bomb anywhere. I'm a complete pacifist.
Can you name the owner of The Times, The Sun, Sky News, Sky Sports, MySpace, The London Paper and Fox News?
It's Rupert Murdoch.
In London alone, 7,000 historic family-owned shops have disappeared in the past 6 years. Which is your favourite Cologne High Street store and why?
Well, I think it's a real shame that those shops have disappeared because I think that, is such a part of kind of English culture. And I'm from Manchester, my family, they used to have a corner shop, sweet shop, and it was great. You could pop to the corner shop, you get, everyone was friendly and everything, and they're all going, that's really sad. But High Street, I'm not crazy about High Street, but if there was one High Street shop that I choose, it would be American Apparel, because I liked how it started off so simple and they've got the best women's, men's briefs, if that makes sense. Y fronts for women, great.
Wicked. Try anything once. In one day recently, Prince William spent £75,000 of taxpayers' money flying an RAF helicopter to his girlfriend's house, then onto a stag do. With this in mind, do you think romance and friendship are dead?
Well, for one, I don't know if that true's, true, and that story's true. Yeah, for one, I don't know if that story's true. I think it's hugely exaggerated. I think they have to be quite careful, I think, what they do, because I think, they can get caught out on these kind of things with taxpayers' money. But I think he was going off to work, and I think that's a great thing. He popped in to pick up his girlfriend, but yeah, if we did have to pay for it, that's not very nice. He should have paid for it himself. I'm sure he's got enough money. I did something very good romantic friendship thing the other day. I was in Greece, I was on an island, and then I could see this other island over there and had no idea that I actually had some friends staying over there, but rented a little boat, turned up, waded out of the sea, surprised them all swam in the sea, jumped off rocks, and then literally gave everyone a kiss goodbye in the water and back to my island. And I thought that was romantic and a very good gesture for friendship as well.
Beautiful. When your personal wealth exceeds £2 million, on what would you spend the rest?
Well, 2 million, I mean, it sounds awful. It doesn't really go very far with, property, cars, just feeding, clothing children for a start. But for me, I think the best thing to invest money in, and I know a lot of people that have made a lot of money from it, is in art. Even like early days Banksy's, people who paid 250 quid for something and now it's gone up to the value of nearly £1 million and things like that. So I'm always looking for some kind of interesting artists, up and coming artists, and they're things that they're on your wall inspiring you all the time. I'm not really into flamboyance or extravagance, decadence. I think it's vulgar and crude. I like to keep things functional and beautiful and aesthetical, and make your home smell lovely, coziness, and yeah, that answers that question.
Which country locks up more of its people than Zimbabwe, China, Sudan, Syria, Burma or Saudi Arabia?
I'm just guessing America. I don't know.
Closest to home?
Us? Is it? Well, first of all, I did actually think England. And I thought, bloody hell, we're such a small country and we're always saying how barbaric everyone else is. And then I thought, no, it has to be America. So it's England, yeah. Well, that surprises me, but yes, I should have Googled that, shouldn't I?
I'm glad you didn't. 80% of Earth's ancient forests have already been either destroyed or degraded. And with that in mind, how long do you think we should give it to do the remaining 20%?
Well, I mean, recently I think people are paying a bit more attention to this whole kind of problem. I went last year to Borneo and arrived in the kind of right in the middle of all the forest fires, where they just set fire to everything, and all the some of the most amazing rainforests that are left in the world were being burnt down, and it was so depressing, all the wildlife, and how much of it's how much of it is going so quickly. And I studied a lot of maps of Borneo, and they've got some of the best rainforests in the world, and I can't believe how fast it's going. But I mean, something does have to be done about it, and I think people are beginning to have some kind of conscience. But it is, I've noticed since I've been travelling quite extensively in the last 20 years, probably when I first went to Japan or Thailand, I've really noticed in my lifetime how much the world has changed, how much wildlife has gone. Even in England, when like birds, things you take for granted, like butterflies, that kind of thing. And I just think that there has to be something that's addressed more importantly than anything else, because it is the most important thing, I think, at the moment with the environment. So let's hope not.
In modern Britain, you're more likely to live in poverty if you're a woman. Why do you think that is?
Obviously those statistics could be true, but I can relate mainly from my own experience. Obviously, being, having children, not getting such good career prospects because you run a family. People don't want to take the risk of women getting involved in companies or whatever, so you can't get in such high-profile jobs. And I think it is changing. My experience is that I know a lot of very powerful, successful women in film, music, a lot of women that are doing very well kind of independently. So I do think it is changing. The balance is readdressing, but...
Is it changing fast enough?
If I was to go up and talk to some ladies that lived in I'm originally from Manchester and very kind of working class areas and, parts of the country, I'm sure they'd be saying no, they're stuck in a rut and they can't get out. So, no, it should be changing faster, definitely.
Should we legalise cannabis? Well,
I would say no, to tell you the truth. I don't think so, because I think, there's this whole cliche that if you smoke spliff, it's going to lead on to bad and worse things. And from my experience of seeing people as I've grown up and as I'm grown up, and it has led to a lot of people onto other things. So I don't think so. I think it's one of those things that... But I think they should probably be spending more time telling people how bad alcohol is. When you travel in this country, you go out of this country. I've just been in Greece for a week, and then people drink normally, and I just think because for some reason, something with our culture or how sometimes miserable England is, we want to escape. We do want escapism, but we do have a big problem with that, because you do have to learn to escape in other ways, and I think alcohol is probably the worst thing. I'm not saying cannabis is bad, but I do think people need to know there are certain things that can arise from it, and I do know quite a few people that smoke cannabis, and there's a huge link to schizophrenia, and that has happened to a lot of people that I know, throughout the years. So I think everyone has to be made aware of the risks, both with the cannabis and alcohol.
And this is the last one. How do you feel about 70% of the land in this country being owned by 1% of the people of this country?
Well, it's pretty unfair and very, very unbalanced. I think it's something that's always, in this country, we've always had to live with, and you kind of picking up old kind of novels, and you realise that actually things have changed. Then it was upstairs, downstairs, and people and you hear of a lot of kind of aristocratic families, upper class families that have lost and had to kind of sell their land or their homes and make them into kind of national trust, or the things are changing. But I do think the divide is awful between the rich and the poor, and I think it's a very difficult thing to break or change, because it's a system that's been going on forever and ever and ever. It should never have happened in the first place when it was divided. That's a problem. And how do you it's like anything, in countries like, now Zimbabwe, people coming to reclaim their land and stuff, it's very, very difficult. Where do you start? But it would be good if it was definitely done on a fairer basis, and we could get some of the land back. Everyone has their own little bit. I think that's fair.
Wicked, thank you very much.